Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to get started this morning with that delayed disclosure that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has been diagnosed with and treated for prostate cancer.
Secretary Austin's doctors say that he was diagnosed in December, then developed complications from a minimally invasive procedure to treat and cure it. Now, because of those complications, he was admitted to the hospital on January 1st. The Pentagon is now facing criticism for waiting 3 days before telling the White House that Austin was hospitalized. The move is even prompting a formal inquiry by the House Armed Services Committee. During a press briefing yesterday, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby spoke with reporters about whether the president knew about Austin's cancer diagnosis.
The president didn't know about the diagnosis until this morning, but his reaction is he wishes the secretary all the best for a speedy recovery.
NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel is standing by to help us better understand this diagnosis. But first, let's bring in NBC News global security reporter Dan DeLuce for more on the fallout. Dan, good to have you with us. So what new details are we learning about this timeline, which has sort of been developing over the past several days, and who may have been notified during Secretary Austin's hospital stay and this procedure?
Well, Joe, it's still really a situation where there are more questions than answers. But what we did finally learn yesterday is why the defense secretary was rushed to the hospital on New Year's Day and has been there since. And that was this diagnosis with prostate cancer, and then these complications that developed after that procedure, in which he had abdominal and leg pain, and he had a urinary tract infection, and that had to be dealt with, and he was in the ICU for a period. And it was not until 3.5 days later that the White House was informed. And as we learned, the president was not even told about the diagnosis now until yesterday. So still a lot of questions as to why the defense secretary and the senior staff were not choosing not to inform the White House of the whole situation.
If we just set aside this controversy over the transparency here, what do we know at this point? What are officials saying about Secretary Austin's condition, how serious it is?
It is not serious. They say, doctors at Walter Reed say he is recovering well from those complications now. He is out of the ICU, and the Pentagon said he is fully engaged in his job, fulfilling his duties. But then again, they're not able to say when he might be able to travel again. And for example, there's a pretty major NATO-Ukraine-related set of meetings in Europe scheduled later this month. Still not clear if he's going to be able to attend those meetings.
And also, the Pentagon press secretary spoke with Courtney Kube, our Pentagon correspondent, about how it seems people were misled in this situation. Do we have any sense of why there was just this breakdown in communication?
You know, that was a repeated point that was raised yesterday at that press conference. And the Pentagon just kept saying, we're going to conduct a review. We're going to look at all our processes and procedures, and we'll figure out what are the lessons learned here. They acknowledged they could have done better. But let's hear the question from Courtney yesterday at that press conference.
The secretary, in his statement on Saturday, has accepted responsibility for the transparency issues associated with that. So from a leadership standpoint, he's stepped up and said, yes, I take responsibility for this. We're going to go back and we're going to look at what we could have done better.
So there you have Pentagon Press Secretary General Pat Ryder trying to explain the situation and that they're going to try to do better. But you have a lot of frustration now on both sides of the aisle in Congress about how this was handled. And some Republicans are now calling for Austin to resign.
All right, Dan DeLuce with the very latest. Dan, thank you so much.
Let's now bring in Dr. Kavita Patel for more on this. Hey, Dr. Patel, good morning. So according to the American Cancer Society, prostate cancer is one of the most common cancers among men, but also the prostate cancer risk is higher in African-American men. Tell us what we should know here.
Yeah, I think the most important thing to know here is that prostate cancer is something we start screening for at the age of 40 if you have a family risk, and at the age of 45 if you're at higher risk for all cancers such as African-American men. So we start screening men at an early age, and we do that all the way up to about the age of 70 where the Secretary of Defense is, and we do that through a combination of digital exams. Remember, the prostate is a small walnut-sized gland that surrounds the urethra. That's a tube that brings urine from the bladder. So this is something that's very common in the primary care setting. One would imagine that what led to the prostatectomy, which is a procedure after they detect prostate cancer, which can help remove part or all of the prostate gland. And that's what we assume, based on what we know, which is limited, that he had some complications from. But otherwise, a very common procedure and unfortunately a common cancer, but picked up early with screening.
Yeah, I want to ask you more about that procedure. I mean, the little bit I've read, that's what's labeled an elective procedure. That doesn't necessarily mean it's voluntary or anything like that. It just means it's basically on the schedule. But what does the fact that he had that procedure tell you about how far along his cancer is? Any indications about his prognosis?
Yeah, prognosis is usually quite excellent with the combination of kind of the early screening and detection. And generally speaking, men of the secretary's age, we watch for changes in a very specific blood test that we use to screen for prostate cancer that we started about the age of 55. So one would imagine that they've been doing these screenings on the secretary, that he's been regular about his preventive care, and that they saw a rise, which gives us a signal to then do a biopsy of the prostate to look for cancer cells. And again, making a lot of assumptions here, since we don't have all the details of his medical record, but they saw cancer. And then this minimally invasive surgery usually does remove all of the cancer. The 4 to 6 week period after a prostatectomy is something I tell patients looking for these complications. That fits in the timeline of what has been happening to the secretary. So again, for him to go into the ICU, though, for that kind of hospitalization from this procedure, there had to be something complicated really happened, Joe. So that's what a lot of us in the medical field are trying to understand. Normally, this doesn't happen.
Oh, all right. Dr. Kavita Patel, thank you very much. Great info and an important reminder, get those screenings for sure. Thank you.
Now to the legal challenges surrounding former President Trump. We could be just days away from a federal appeals court's decision on Trump's presidential immunity argument in the case over his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election, which led to the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
The three-judge panel heard arguments yesterday from Trump's legal team and the special counsel's office. The former president's lawyers claim he has immunity from prosecution because he was in office on January 6th. After the hearing, Trump echoed that sentiment to reporters.
That's a very sad thing that's happened with this whole situation. When they talk about threat to democracy, that's your real threat to democracy. And I feel that as a president, you have to have immunity. Very simple.
Breaking it all down for us, we're joined by NBC News Justice reporter Ryan Riley and NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos. Good morning to both of you. So Ryan, let's start with you. Both sides made their arguments to the judges over Mr. Trump's immunity claim. The hearing lasted about 75 minutes. So sum up for us what happened inside that courtroom.
Yeah, well, it was tense for one because you had a situation where Donald Trump and Jack Smith were in the same room. It's happened on very few occasions. Obviously, a lot of security going in. Donald Trump was mostly pretty quiet, I think, during most of his own lawyers' arguments during the case. A lot of this was legalese. It might have gone over his head. But at the end of this, essentially, he got a little bit heated, I think, as the special counsel was making some of his arguments. He was actually on a yellow notepad there, sort of sending notes over to his lawyer. And the most animated I saw him get was at the moment when his lawyer, I think, made a point maybe that Donald Trump wanted him to make, was that Donald Trump, he claimed, is winning in all of the polls. And that's when Donald Trump sort of shook his head very vigorously. So Trump seemed to be most animated, or, his attention was most gotten by any explicitly political points that were being made rather than really the legal arguments at the heart of this. And, logistically, it was tough for him to hold that press conference because there's not really a space for him to do it given the security concerns around the courtroom. So they actually had to go to a separate hotel just so he could get in front of a TV camera afterwards and sort of get that footage that you see on your screen now. So, obviously he's trying to make this into a public spectacle with only, less than a week to go until, voters really start making their decisions in the Republican primary.
Danny, let's bring you in here and dig in on some of the legal arguments. So early on, there was this kind of exchange between a Trump lawyer and a judge talking through these hypotheticals. Like, for example, could a president order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political opponent? His team is essentially saying that, well, if they were not impeached, then no. What do you make of that argument?
So there's been a lot of focus on that SEAL Team 6 exchange, and it's really part of a minor argument of the Trump defense. The main argument is that Trump is immune for anything he did that's within the outer perimeter of his official acts. But their secondary argument, which is creative but probably ultimately a loser, is that in order to be prosecuted, Trump must have been, for official acts, not private conduct, in order to be prosecuted, Trump must have first been impeached and then additionally convicted. And the example given, as we heard, was, well, what if he used SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political opponent? Frankly, folks, I think that's a bit of a dangerous analogy because I think we would all agree, unfortunate as it is, that a president would never be prosecuted for an act of war, for sending the military to places where even innocents are killed. Nobody has ever argued that every president who has sent the military into a hotspot is prosecutable for murder. Some have suggested it. People will say that, but it never actually happened. So that example, I think, was a little flawed. But what you're seeing in this case, and what I love, is a hearkening back to the Socratic method of the Greek era. This is the most beautiful thing about appellate advocacy is oral argument. We focus on trials. We don't normally see this. But the reason I bring that up is that it is totally standard for the judges to challenge, to play devil's advocate, to almost, in my view, when I'm arguing, it feels like they're heckling you. I mean, they really interrupt you and they ask you these questions, and it may seem like they are against you. And a lot of folks, I think it's fair to say that, you know, if you're betting Trump probably loses here, but don't necessarily buy into the fact that the judges may have seemed antagonistic to one side or the other. That's their sworn duty at oral argument in the appellate context.
Sometimes they're trying to make a point to another judge, and they're just doing it through the questions that they ask.
Yes.
So, Ryan, we know the appeals court is running on an expedited schedule. Do we have an idea of just how expedited? When could we get an answer here?
Yeah, I think it could be relatively quickly. You know, we've heard legal, some legal experts say it could be, a week, could be a couple of weeks here, probably max, because really they're trying to get, I think, Jack Smith's interest really is getting this case back on track. And we've seen that in some of the filings that they've made, even when these deadlines in the lower court and the district court have been suspended. They're sort of turning in their homework early to a certain extent, trying to meet these deadlines, even though they're no longer operational. And we're sort of waiting to hear back from Judge Chuckin whether that's okay with. They're still making those filings. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has obviously tried to get some headlines here and requested that they be held in contempt for still making these filings as this case is sort of on pause. But Jack Smith's team really, I think, is interested in trying to get this on track as soon as possible. That March date is still theoretically in the books, although it's obviously very unlikely, I think, to happen at this point in time, given how close that comes. But they really want to get this case going as soon as they can.
Danny, the expectation here, right, is that whoever loses appeals to the Supreme Court, and then at which point the Supreme Court may or may not take it up. What kind of options would whoever does not come out the winner here have?
Oh, if it were only as procedurally simple as that. It is so much more complicated procedurally. For example, if Trump loses here, he could appeal to what's called en banc review. In other words, only a 3-judge panel just heard it. He can say, hey, I want all the judges to review it. But that's up to them. They might say, no thanks. Or an appellate court might say, look, this immunity rule, we're gonna tinker with it. We're gonna refashion it, then we're gonna send it back down to Judge Chuckin. She redecides the case, then they appeal from that. So there are so many procedural paths this could take, and it could result in a decision within 2 weeks or 6 months.
Which is why you've said perhaps a March trial may be tough to get to.
It's not happening. And by the way, I've been consistent. Everyone laughed at me, but here we are, and the delay is happening.
All right, we'll see what happens. Ryan, Danny, thank you both. We appreciate it.
Well, all week you've heard us talking about the upcoming Iowa caucus. If you're wondering what exactly makes a caucus different than a primary, we've got you covered. NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson explains how it works.
It's a tradition we've watched for about half a century.
I'm committed. Come on, Jackson. Jackson people, right in here.
Iowa, like it has since the 70s.
Yesterday, about 50,000 Democrats in Iowa met in caucuses.
What happens here tonight is a little unusual.
Today, it's all about making sure people know where they're going to caucus. Leading the nominating process for Republicans.
Hello, Iowa. You're going to win this election for us.
So what actually is a caucus? Well, let's start with what it's not. It's not a primary. It's a closed-door meeting. And this year, in Iowa, those meetings will happen in places like church basements, school cafeterias, and community centers in more than 1,600 precincts across 99 counties. The caucuses only involve people in the same party.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Here's how it's going to go down inside the room for Republicans next week. Attendees will pick a chair, and that chair will invite somebody to speak on behalf of each candidate.
Senator Ted Cruz from Texas is the best choice for president.
Some candidates will even hit up a caucus site themselves to deliver a last-ditch pitch.
Grow the economy at a far faster rate.
Then folks will write down the candidate they pick and turn it in. That all gets counted leading up to the big moment, the announcement of a winner.
First place, we had Governor Mitt Romney with 274 votes.
For Democrats, it'll look different from Republicans and different from how Dems have done it before. Their caucuses next week will be about party business, not about a primary pick for president, with Joe Biden, of course, running for re-election. The changes coming after the caucus debacle in 2020.
What went wrong in Iowa and why 100% of those caucus results still are not in?
Obviously, it's a mess.
A tech meltdown delaying results.
When the winner is, we have no idea.
This year, Democrats will vote by mail in Iowa, with the results set to be announced in a couple months. The first primary votes for the party instead will happen in South Carolina and Nevada next month.
Our thanks to Hallie Jackson for that report. So the Democratic National Committee made that change to focus on states with a more diverse electorate, while Republicans will stick with the original Iowa-New Hampshire lineup. Well, since 1976, only 3 contested Iowa caucus winners have gone on to win the White House: Jimmy Carter, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. So while they aren't always a bellwether, the caucuses can help with at least momentum and winning a big field.
The latest round of winter storms now slamming cities across the country with snow, high winds, and heavy rain. In the south, 4 people are dead after an outbreak of tornadoes swept through the region. Florida and Alabama were just 2 of the states hit by tornadoes, which left damaged buildings and down power lines in their path. The storms moved fast, and residents had little time to react.
I just put all the kids in the bathtub with a mattress on top.
Heard the alarms going off. We get into the little hallway, feel the camper slide, and then it dumps over onto its side. And we were kind of in a protected little cove.
Meanwhile, here in the Northeast, several cities are dealing with flooding this morning after the storm system brought torrential rains, heavy winds, and power outages to the region. And the Midwest and Great Plains are digging out after storms dumped several inches of snow there. Schools were shut down, and whiteout conditions forced the closure of some highways.
NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa joins us now from Des Moines, Iowa, because Iowa is the center of the universe right now with all the latest. So, Maggie, when it comes to snow, I mean, Des Moines was one of the hardest places hit. What's the latest there this morning?
Yeah, Joe, I mean, as you said, it was hit hard. That is the big headline. Close to a foot of snow hitting in this area in 24 hours. And Joe, you and I are both from the Midwest. Like, we're in Iowa. People here are used to intense winter weather. And this threw long-term Iowans, like native Iowans, who, again, have been through many a winter storm before. Right now, what we're dealing with is kind of the second wave in this system, which is bitter, bone-chilling cold. I can barely feel my face. It is 18 degrees this morning in Des Moines. The wind chill is like 9, and it's only going to get colder from here. By the time we get to your point, center of the universe right now, caucus day next week, we could be sub-zero, like a high of -2 without the wind chill factor. So it is definitely the start of a long, bitter, brutal road, and it came in with a bang with that nearly foot of snow practically overnight here, guys.
Maggie, let's talk about the South also. The string of deadly tornadoes. Tell us about the extent of the damage.
Yeah, this was a rare, January tornado outbreak. Our team clocking more than 20 twisters reported on the ground. It was kind of all along the Gulf Coast and then into the southeast. So we're talking Texas, Alabama, Georgia, into Florida. We had 4 deaths that have been attributed to these storms thus far, at least 1 in Georgia, 1 in Alabama, 1 in North Carolina, where a tornado touched down about an hour outside of Charlotte. And 4 people were also injured there in that storm. So it was just a really massive, fast-moving, we have a truck going by here in Des Moines as I talk, massive, fast-moving system and a sprawling system at that. We counted initially 12 tornadoes, ended up being more than 20, guys. So the devastation down there is just mind-blowing, and you've seen the images.
And one more headline really across the country, including here where we are in the Northeast, and that's the power outages after the string of storms. I know I was trying to walk home last night in the wind. My umbrella, not very useful. What's the latest on all that this morning?
Yeah, that would be a rough umbrella day, I have to say. Basically, we have close to 600,000 Americans still without power this morning. A lot of them still without heat as well. It's really concentrated along the East Coast, as you can imagine. It came in with those massive winds and then just that torrential rain that we saw last night in cities like D.C. and New York, where you guys are. Crews working as fast as they can, as you can imagine, to restore power, because a lot of those people, as we said, don't have heat. And this system is making its way east. It's basically today into Thursday, into the weekend. Temperatures falling across the country. So they want to get that power back on as quickly as possible. But crews this morning definitely have their work cut out for them. Guys.
No kidding. All right, Maggie, thank you so much.
Stay warm. Thanks. Well, with the storm impacting the east, making its way out today, another major storm is already on its way across the Northwest.
Yeah, for more, let's check on the forecast with Angie Lastman. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. We're in an active pattern, and we've got, a storm system we dealt with over the weekend. We've got this system that we've dealt with over the past 24 to 36 hours. That, as you mentioned, is on its way out, but we've got another one that we're watching out west that's going to cross the country in the coming days. The system that we dealt with yesterday and into today, it's kind of wrapping up. We still have some rain draped across parts of New England. We've got some snow showers happening across the Great Lakes, but that's going to sort of taper off here as we get through the day today. You'll notice that we still do have some stronger winds, especially the closer to the coast you have. We've seen some coastal flooding across parts of the Northeast, and we've seen the river flooding continue as well. We've got those swollen rivers. It's going to take a little while for those to come down. From New York to D.C., we've had some major and moderate rivers in their flood stages. So we're going to watch that through the day today. We still do have some of these flood alerts that are up across that region. We've got really saturated grounds. And as I mentioned, we've got another storm system on the way. So we're going to watch that closely. Here's some of those latest wind gusts happening across this region. Boston coming in about 30 miles per hour. We've got close to 30 miles per hour in Newport. These numbers are have majorly improved over the past, say, 5 hours or so. We were topping 40, even 50 miles per hour earlier in the morning. Those have come down, and that'll be the trend through the day today. But we get ready to do it all over again because we've got the winter alerts up across the west with that next system that I mentioned that's going to kind of dip through the Rockies here as we get through the day today. That's where it starts to bring snow. And oh, by the way, some bitter cold temperatures. You heard Maggie mention that. We'll talk about those here in a moment. But we're also going to see the potential for severe weather tomorrow. Bullseye for the Gulf Coast. You can see the areas in a slight risk, Little Rock to Lake Charles. We're going to see the potential for strong wind gusts, hail, and of course, we can't rule out those tornadoes. By the time Friday rolls around, we're wrapping up our work week, but now we're dealing with blizzard conditions across parts of the Midwest and into the Great Lakes, Missouri, up through Michigan. Really difficult travel. We're going to see strong winds. We're going to see some heavy snow there. And we've got that torrential rain, the heavy, heavy rain that we're expecting across parts of the east. Some of those same spots that already picked up substantial rain from the last couple of systems and will likely have flooding issues once again. On top of that, as we get into Friday, we're going to have the potential for another severe weather day, afternoon hours. A couple of strong tornadoes are not out of the question. They do include places like Atlanta, Augusta, Montgomery, stretching up into the mid-Atlantic and down through the Gulf Coast. Another day where you'll have to be on alert for Friday. As we get into Saturday, the rain starts to work offshore as that system works a little closer to the east. But notice those bands of snow aren't going to let up. We're still going to see that those strong winds coming in off of the Great Lakes. We're going to see potentially more snow on Saturday. The travel will be difficult, and those winds, as we know, will likely cause not just the travel issues with the drifting snow and such, but still the power outages are going to be a problem. And we've got really, really cold air working into the middle of the country and eventually the Midwest and Northeast down the line. There's that low that works up in Canada, and the circulation around it pushes that Arctic air into parts of the United States. This is really going to be the coldest that it's been so far this season, guys. Check out some of these daytime highs as we get into next week. Saturday and Sunday in Chicago, we go from the 20s to the teens. We've got single-digit temperatures, and those are just the high temperatures. We've got to add in those really strong winds. It's going to be really brutal when it comes to cold. Oof. It is winter, so
yes,
to be expected.
Yeah.
Wait,
this is into next week. I'm looking at the graphic. I can still see over there. Daytime highs in Des Moines on Monday,
right,
the caucus day of a 1.
Yep. And then
those
you
hardy
add in,
Iowans will go vote.
They will. They definitely will.
Yeah, and same with our team of all our NBC friends.
Yeah, exactly. Bundle up.
Thanks, Angie.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.